Hello, and my name's Lucy. I am a lifestyle blogger, as you might know, and about a year ago I did something a bit mad. I spent 5 days and 5 nights in solitary confinement for a Channel 5 TV show. The TV show aired on Bank Holiday Monday, so I think it was the 28th of August 2017, and yeah, it was pretty crazy watching myself back and thinking about the process behind me going into solitary confinement, you know, the reasons why I did it. And there were lots of questions asked as well when I posted about it online, and people tuned in and watched. And yeah, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to answer a few of those questions for anybody that's actually interested in finding out a bit more. Yeah, or for anybody who's gone through something similar to what I did. So I've tried to compile all the questions that I've had from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, emails, from friends, family. So let me have a little look here. So David Pullen said, did you do any preparation in the weeks coming up to you entering, and what made you think of doing it? So David, in terms of preparation, this time last year I was in the process of doing this crazy fitness transformation, and yeah, so exercise was a massive part of my routine, and at that point that was an escape for me. I'd been told that spending time in solitary confinement can be quite dangerous, and that, you know, if you don't take it seriously and you kind of underestimate what you're about to go into, then, you know, there can be lasting psychological damage. So that was something that was quite concerning to obviously my friends and my family and myself. But I knew that I wanted to do it, and I wanted to make sure that I did it for the right reasons. So why did I want to do 5 days and 5 nights in solitary confinement? Well, a friend of mine, Matt, one of my best blogger mates, sent me an email saying, "Oh my God, have you seen this? It's a TV show. They're looking for they're auditioning for people to be on it, to spend 5 days in solitary with no technology, no books, no daylight, no access to other people, no concept of time, no mobile phone, obviously." And he was like, can you imagine doing that? And he wasn't sure about doing it. He was a bit like and ahhing. And then I was like, well, I'd been on this date with this guy, and he told me about how he'd gone on this silent retreat. So I was intrigued, really, and I thought, you know, my life is so busy right now. Everything I do is through my phone. You know, whether that's speaking to family, sorting out my freelance work, whether it's going on dates, everything is through my phone, and I was so exhausted. I needed a rest. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to apply. I'm going to apply for this TV show. I'm going to tell them how it is. I'm going to tell them that, you know, it's been a year to almost the day, in, you know, a few months' time, that my husband left me for another woman, and I think I'm alright, but because I've kept myself so busy, I don't know whether I've just masked over the fact that actually I'm still a little bit broken inside, and I'm ignoring the fact that I need to really address those issues. Or am I actually okay? Am I actually healing as I should be? Obviously there's no should about it, but am I a bit better? So I thought, you know, there's no better opportunity to really reconnect with yourself than to spend 5 days and 5 nights on your own. You know, I think it's going to become pretty apparent if you're not alright, if you've not got any other distractions. So that was the main reason I did it. In terms of preparation, what did I do in the weeks coming up to going into the box? I did really think about it. I don't know if it's something that is just very me. Like, I like to find out all the information I can about something before I do it. And then there's other times where I'm just very spontaneous and I'll throw myself into a situation that, you know, it's a bit mad. But anyway, for this particular thing, I didn't take it lightly. I spoke to my dad's partner, who's an occupational therapist, and she said, "Okay, Lucy, I'm gonna have a think about this. I'll have a look into it and I'll come back to you." I was like, "Okay." And then at the same time, I knew that in order to get through it, in order to get through the whole 5 days and 5 nights and not crack up, I needed to keep myself busy. And to be honest with you, I struggle to rest anyway. I like to be busy, I like to be doing stuff all the time. Maybe I'm a bit of a workaholic. But I knew that I needed to have a routine. So my trainer at the time, Richard Burrell, who I was training with, he put together basically like a prison workout that I could do in a very confined space. And he said to me, he's like, "Right, Lucy, so in the morning, what I want you to do is as soon as you wake up, do the first lot of exercises. And then you can like shower, well, sorry, there's no shower, you can't shower. Then you can wash and have your breakfast and get on with your day. And then in the evening, just before you have your evening meal, do another lot of exercise." So I was like, okay, that's gonna tire me out. It's gonna keep me active during this time in this very small confined space. So in order to know what exercises I was actually going to be doing, I I wrote them on my arm like memento. I think I've shared a picture, and yeah, like I wasn't told I couldn't do it, so I thought, okay, I'm going to transcribe the exercises as soon as I get in there, wherever I can, so that I don't forget them, and just do it and have this routine and stick to it. In terms of other preparation, I previously, prior to going into the box, like most people, I had my notifications on my phone. So whenever I got a text, whenever I got an email, whenever I got a new match on Tinder or any other of the many dating apps that I'd used, you know, I'd constantly be, my day would be interrupted. It would be punctuated by beeps, by noises, by messages, by alerts, notifications. And I knew that rather than going cold turkey, I had to kind of try and wean myself off them. You know, I'm still, like everybody, guilty of using my phone too much, but it's definitely something that I knew beforehand I had to tackle. So I'd gone to Morocco with my mate Laura, one of my best mates, and I decided in Morocco, for the 3 days that we were there, I was going to turn off my notifications on my phone so that I wasn't at its beck and call. And then when we got to Belfast, which is where the filming was, I was prepared then for being able to hand over the phone. In terms of mental preparation, my dad's partner Kim came back to me and she'd done a bit of research and she said, "Okay, Lucy, the most important thing about this experience, about doing this experiment, is that you go in there and you have an intent and a purpose. Because if you don't, you're really going to struggle. So what is it that you want to get out of it?" And I thought long and hard, and I knew, and it sounds hippie, she says in a big thingy dress, but I knew I wanted to use it as creative, emotional healing time. I wanted to use it as a bit of respite from my crazy day-to-day life. I wanted a bit of escapism. I probably could have chose some quiet farmhouse retreat in France, but nope, you know, ever up for trying new things, I thought, okay, I'm gonna spend 5 days in solitary instead. So my intention was to spend time thinking about me, thinking about everything that had happened, writing a lot, making a lot of notes and just kind of processing my thoughts and using it as a rare opportunity to spend time with me, as mad as that sounds. So yeah, we were allowed to take in 3 personal items. This is one of the kind of the stipulations, and they didn't tell us what we could take. They told us what we weren't allowed. So at first I thought, okay, why don't I take a running machine? And they were like, no, Lucy, you can't take a treadmill because it's going to be too loud. I was like, right, okay. Sack that one off. I was like, why don't I take, I don't know. I was like, what's going to keep me entertained for 5 days and 5 nights? Because I think they looked at me and thought, oh, she's going to want to take a hairbrush, she's girly, she'll take a mirror, a makeup, and then that's it. And I thought, and I was like, no. I asked some questions. I was like, is there a mirror in the room? Nope. Is there a shower in the room? Nope. So, nobody's going to see me. The only person who's going to see me is not even me, really, because there's no mirrors, there's no glass, there's no reflections. I think the closest to it was trying to squint and look in a tap to see how scraggly my hair looked. But yeah, vanity didn't come into it at all, because there's no way you can entertain yourself with a hairbrush pretending to sing karaoke for 5 days without going a bit insane. So my 3 personal items that I took were a roll of lining paper and a pen. That was my pen and paper, because I knew that I'd fill up a book too fast, because I'm a copious writer, note taker. I like to sort of keep little diaries and journals. I also wanted to take a kettlebell so that I could do some exercise. At first I was like, oh, should I take dumbbells? But I think a kettlebell was the closest that we could get to it. And the final item was a little art set. So I studied art at school. I always loved it at primary school, high school, sixth form, college, and then I went to art college. And I loved illustration, I love life drawing, I love mixed media art, painting, and yeah, and I just thought, when was the last time I sat down and painted something? When was the last time I, created a piece of art just for fun? So I looked at this little art set and I thought, that's coming with me. This is, if it's going to be a retreat, then why not make it an art retreat? And yeah, so those were my 3 items, and I discussed back and forth with various friends and stuff. They were like, why don't you take playing cards? Why don't you take a tennis ball? You could take a jigsaw. Somebody else was like, why don't you take a bottle of gin? Why don't you take a sex toy? Why don't you take, I don't know, something cozy to wear? Why don't you take a photo of your family? There were so many options thrown at me that I was like, oh my god, am I taking the right thing? I did think about taking a jigsaw, having a picture printed on it, but then I thought, if I lose my rag, not that I do very often, but if I get angry and just throw this jigsaw, then it's, getting frustrated that I can't build it. It's not gonna be great, is it? So yeah, I sacked off the jigsaw. So Armadillo Central, that might have answered your question a bit about what you said here. You said, hats off Lucy, watched last night. Thought your choice of things to take in was a perfect mix of creative and physical inspo, and that you used the time brilliantly. Curious about whether, as a pro blogger, journo effectively, you researched what the best things to take in might be, or whether that was more your own instincts or advice from family and friends, or a combination. So obviously I took in the things that I would get enjoyment from. But also, I did discuss at length with family and friends about what the right thing would be to take in. So that did inform it a bit as well. But I just knew that having some kind of creative outlet would be key for me in this experience. So Narnold20, Nathan, you said, did you have a choice of any of the 3 things you could take in there with you? Taking a kettlebell was a really good idea. I would have done the same, as I find training helps me zone out, so that was a good coping mechanism. The choice, we did have a choice, they didn't prescribe what we were allowed to take in. We also weren't told what either of the other contestants would be bringing. They either said yes or no to the items that we asked if we could bring. You weren't allowed any books, any musical instruments, no technology, probably no sharp items. Like I said before, wasn't allowed a treadmill or anything that made too much noise. But yeah, so I knew that the items that I had would keep me occupied. Another question from Lo Constantinu. Really enjoyed the programme. I thought you came across really well. Probably not the most insightful question, but I am curious if you ever did or do anything with your art. The family painting was beautiful, and I'm just wondering if you paint as a hobby / a way to relax, or have ever done anything on a more professional basis. So, in answer to that question, when I was at art college, I used to paint quite a lot, and I'd make little canvases, either friends or family. And then one of my best mates' dad had a shop in, I think it was like Derbyshire or somewhere, so I'd do little canvases for him and he'd sell them for me. And then quite a few years went by where I stopped painting, stopped drawing, and I didn't, create anything to sell. The paintings that I created in the box, I've actually got them in the kitchen rolled up, because I've just moved into this new house with my friend Alice. So yeah, I'll go and get them now and show you. But the paints that I took in to the box, like the little, I think there was a few watercolours and a few sort of other art bits and bobs. And my great uncle, my Uncle Harry, who passed away not too long ago now, he was a great artist, and seeing his work when I was growing up was definitely something that inspired me to paint. And it was something that I found that I was good at. Like, I'm absolutely horrific at maths. I'm shit with anything to do with numbers, and I've got a bit of a fear of it, but give me a pencil and I'll draw you anything. I'm not saying I'm amazing, but I enjoyed it very much, and I think it was something that I was very comfortable with. So yeah, let me show you my art bits and bobs. So in the process of being in the box, I took my little art set here, which is a small watercolour kit from Winsor & Newton, which I've had now for absolute years, but I love it. It's really good and it lasts a long time. I also did these little illustrations of my friends. Well, they're not the whole of the friend, are they? The hairstyles, and that kept me quite entertained. So I think we've got Lizzie, I think that is Raina, Patrick, Steve, Lara. Oh, I was a bit stuck. Nat, James Barley, Billy Finnegan, and Pauline Wong. I think that's Sarah Asian, or it might be Soph. Lorena. Joe Mitchell. Maybe that's Lizzie P. or Gage. This one. Melissa Talbot. And Marcus. Okay, so these are all the little watercolour hairdos. And then I created 2 books. And stole the thread out of the blankets to create these little journals. So this is kind of a diary here I created. some quite deep thoughts in there. Yeah, I haven't read back through them since, but I can imagine. Yeah. I did a bit of like social media strategy. What else did I do with my time? I created a little plan of what I'd like my grand design to be. So it's that open plan, 2 floor, I've got a pool, nice big bathtubs. What else did I do? Day 3 in solitary. Realise I've taken up a few new hobbies to pass the time. Perfecting the art of napping and counting how many cups of fluid I'm consuming. While in solitary confinement, I also decided that I wanted to make a children's book for my nephew. I've given my nephew the book, so I'll have to put a photo in here, but this is the plan that I made. Here. Elle Bell the Super Thinker, you are what you become. And it's just kind of a net, not a net, but like a storyboard of what's going to be in the book. So Ellie's on a computer game, then he's playing football, and then he's baking, then he's bird watching. He's with his friends, his family, he's on holidays at school, he's in London seeing me. What else have we got? Travelling. He's in space, because he can be anything. And then he's going to see the dinosaurs. So yeah, that kept me quite busy in there. So let me just turn it over so you can see. You probably can't read my writing anyway, because it's like doctor's handwriting. But yeah. So that was one little project. What else did I do? So in terms of artwork, let me just lay all this out. So this is the little window view that I had up. It's a little watercolour mixed media piece. There's all my friends' hair. There's the 2 little books and the diaries. My poppy pictures. One's upside down. And then this was this like sort of abstract, bit Picasso-y. And yeah, I had quite great fun painting this. And different colours to represent different moods and feelings. So yeah, created quite a lot. The family portrait that I did, my mum wanted that, so she's now taken it, and then she had it copied at printers, and now all my family have one in their homes, in little frames, which is really cute. But I don't think I have a copy, so I might have to sort that out next time. Yeah, so I was busy, and I think looking back, this is the first time that I've really looked at any of the work that I created since getting out of the box about, gosh, it's coming up to a year now. So yeah, it's pretty mad looking back and being transported back to that time. So people also asked, what else did I have on my to-do list? This is the little book I made with my to-do list on it, which is fashioned out of some lining paper, which everything else was painted on or drew on. And then the little bit of cotton there is from the throw that was on the bed. So I just unpick it like a little borrower and stitch it together. So my to-do list was write up experiences on whiteboard. Sorry, scrap that. Sorry, write up exercises on whiteboard. So this was obviously my #1 priority. Write down days and meal times. Write down key phrases. This is only temporary. You are safe. You can do this and believe. Measure sheets of lining paper to cover the walls. So I think I was quite ambitious, and I thought that I could I think I thought I could decorate the whole space in 5 days. Write down intentions. Drink 16 cups of water a day. 16 cups. Create a schedule, a daily routine. Enjoy the silence. Tasks, which apparently is separate from a to-do list. Create a 70th birthday message for Grandad. Write down everything you've achieved in 2016. Create a window, a view. Plan a grand design. Write a list of places you'd like to travel to. Write down how you feel right now. Write down how I want to feel a year from now. Write down everything you're grateful for. Write down a list of family holidays. Try and draw out the yoga sun salutation moves. Definitely overly ambitious. Illustrate friends. Illustrate emotions. Write up the Yosemite trip blog post. Write up the San Luis Obispo blog post. Write up Los Angeles blog post. Write up Coachella blog post. Write up about my island trip. Write poetry. Write a thank you letter to Mum. Create the alphabet, different typography. Create a rainbow wall. Draw the room. Do believe. Think of all the funny moments that have happened in 2016. Write up about the Morocco trip. Think about things I want to achieve and promote. Think about the things I wish I could tell my younger self. Write down all the things I love. Create a children's book for Alice. Write down a list of the things I need to let go of. What I'd like to change. Make a door cover. Make a little workout mat out of some paper. Okay. And then I started journaling. So this was my day one. Day one, solitary. This should really start at minus day one, because I arrived in Belfast last night. After a long day of travelling, 2 flights, 2 taxis and a bit of walking in between, I got here. Judy from production met me at the Belfast International Airport. I was slightly bedraggled looking with no makeup on and in desperate need of a shower. I hopped into the cab under strict instructions that I wasn't to speak about the TV show. Especially while not in the taxi, because it's a small city and word gets around. Yep, think stereophonics. So yeah. It was only recently that I began thinking seriously about digital detox, a proper one, not just one that required me to have no signal on my phone. I mean, I did give it a go in Yosemite, but I guess I was still very much switched on. I was recording snaps and allowing them to fail, using airplane mode, so that I could press retry later. But this time it's different. I am quite literally shut off from the outside world. However, I plan to create a couple of windows to make the place feel more spacious and homely. I feel a little bit like a 31-year-old version of an overly ambitious Penny Crayon. And then that's a little drawing of my room. So you can see my bed there. In the corner here there was one of the cameras, there's horrible strip lights, my little sink, the radiator, and then there's a screen there which has like a portaloo behind. Okay, my intentions, my good intentions. To get something positive out of this once-in-a-lifetime experience. To allow myself time to think and reflect on how I feel right now and how I have felt over the past 12 months. To trust my body and mind, to use creativity as an outlet for emotional and spiritual healing, to rest, to learn to enjoy silence, to start meditating, to breathe better, to draw more and paint more, to discover who I am without technology or people or possessions, to learn to be reliant on only myself for entertainment, to learn to focus, to have time to process my feelings, to find myself, to complete the challenge, to understand me more, to think and have time to stop thoughts that aren't necessary, to be more mindful of my everyday actions, words or thoughts, to know what I want and be able to verbalise it, a new beginning, to feel that I am getting back out of life or love what I put in. Sorry, to feel that I am getting back out of life and love what I put in. Okay. Day 2, solitary. Woke up, felt calm, did my cardio, made breakfast, lukewarm veggie sausages, made tea, ate a biscuit, had a wash and got dressed. Sat and drew a family portrait, thought about sea, had a nap and a cup of hot electrolytes, yum. Woke up, drew my friends, painted, ate some soup and bread. Thought a bit more about life. Wrote some deep and meaningful thoughts. I think I wrote about a guy that I liked at the time, and I put, I wonder why he waited. I wonder why he didn't disappear after my successful date admission. I'm a fool. And I wonder why I couldn't stop thinking about him. I guess you don't want to pin your hopes onto something that feels so physically and emotionally far away. It's a lot to invest in, and I'm no longer in the mood for being messed about. Yeah. Deep. And then I wrote, what will happen when I get out? Will I leave my notifications off? Will I continue to live an uninterrupted life? Maybe I just allow my computer to have the notifications, but my phone not. Screen time versus me time. Okay. I think I've got a page here that says what I want. So I'm not sure at which point in the journey I've written this. Which day, I've no idea, because obviously I must have just lost track of time a bit. Let me just see if there's anything, any dates. What I want, a long hot bath to wash my hair and a hairbrush and a hairdryer. A nighttime picnic at Giant's Causeway. A manicure, fresh nail polish. A flat white. Moisturiser, a mirror and some makeup. To shave my legs, underarms. To sleep without cameras. To wee on a proper toilet. Normal food. Perfume. To smell nice. To know the time and date. A poached egg with runny yolk. My own clothes. To call my family. I don't know why that's not up at the top. To see if there's anything I missed. Because obviously I couldn't read the news or check anything. To visit the Titanic Museum. What else have we got? Okay, so this is my my rundown of 2015-2016. Turned 30, visited New York, set up Agent K & Co, my company. Went to Milan for Milan Fashion Week with Huawei. Went to Edinburgh on a blogger trip. Went to Singapore, separated from my husband. Worked agency side for the very first time at Ogilvy PR. Went for dinner with Trevor, which was great, my life mentor. Started dating. Ish. Went to Cornwall with Roz. And she saved me, and she was a true friend, and just sat there during some of like the sort of darker moments and fed me wine and cheese and meats and listened to me as I kind of poured my heart out. My blogging became more honest, more transparent. I won flights to California with Pop Chips. I had time off to think in January and February. I started the gym, started looking after myself. I picked up one of my first freelance opportunities with Clayhead. I did some pro bono work for one of my best mates, set up Social Workers Without Borders. And, you know, got closer to old friends after years of kind of not really making much of an effort. Got closer to all my family, particularly my sister. I felt unconditional love in a way that I'd never ever felt it before. I worked with Be Hooked on some really cool campaigns. Worked with Backyard Cinema. I wrote an article for The Drum. I got asked to be a judge for the Drums Social Buzz Awards. I took part in the Drums Planet Day. I started exercising regularly. I met some amazing new friends. I went to Holland and Germany with Stellify. Went to Paris with Honor. I started asking for payment for work that it was going to, you know, I'm working for myself and working freelance, and I knew that it was my time and that it was worth it. So, you know, I had to ask, I had to speak up. I won a trip to Morocco, visited a new continent. I went to Croatia and saw Dubrovnik for a split second, boom. I went on a California road trip. I went on an island road trip and experienced the wild Atlantic way. I drove a Mustang on the right hand side of the road. I drove a Diddy car on the right hand side of the road in Ireland. I did 36 questions to fall in love with two of my best friends, Roz and Marcus. I sold my ex's back. I did 2 nude photo shoots with my nude photo shoots with my mate Heather, and felt stronger and more confident than I'd ever done before. I got on a TV show, The Muslim Vibe. I lived alone in a box successfully for 5 days. I made a difference by sharing the story of my own heartbreak to at least 2 other people. And since sharing my story, I think, you know, there's been a good sort of 10 or so people now who've come in, who've got in touch with me and said, you're not on your own, it's happened to me too. So, you know, if everything happens for a reason, then that's definitely one of them. I cleared out the clutter. I painted and drew more. I let go of opportunities that were holding me back. I went to Stonehenge and experienced summer solstice for the first time with my sister, Los Vesses. I got to see Alice's sports day. I visited the New Forest, saw the New Forest ponies. I didn't drink alcohol for at least a month when I was doing my crazy exercising. I gave a lot of stuff to charity. Lots of plans to collaborate. Took my first ever solo trip to Copenhagen, spent 24 hours there. I took control of my life and started again. I visited the beautiful Hive art installation at Kew. Broadened my network of freelancers. Realised that I didn't have depression at all, and that was alright. So obviously the cameras were getting to me because I decided to illustrate one of them on this little book. Writing some more deep and meaningful stuff. Okay. So I've wrote down, what do I want? A lifetime of adventures and someone to share them with. To create a legacy. To not have my light dimmed. To be loved for all that I am and have the possibility of becoming. To be lifted up on my darkest of days. To be desired, appreciated, loved, celebrated, challenged, inspired, supported, enabled, listened to, and paid attention to. I'm just remembering things that my friends had said to me when I first broke up. I remember Roz saying, "You have 12 months to do what you want. You've got to get out of jail free card." I took time. One of the questions was, did I think about my ex? Did I think about my relationship when I was in there, my past? And yeah, I wrote some stuff down and thinking about when did it change? Like, obviously in hindsight, you can look back on a relationship and you can, pick it to pieces, and you notice things that you missed before. And I was wondering, when did it change? When did he change? Did I change? And I put, life is too fucking precious not to share how you truly feel. But hey. I got the adult equivalent of the childhood dream of being able to play weddings. Everything was perfect, apart from the following. Getting the year wrong when we went to register the wedding. His hair, no socks. The registrar calling me Sophie. Having a vomiting bug on the night of the wedding. A neon sign of mine getting cracked. The whole family then getting a vomiting bug. Disaster after disaster. Lessons learned. You should never let your happiness depend on someone else. You're responsible for that, and you alone. If you're unhappy, say. If you're still unhappy, change it or walk away. The telltale signs that I should have known. When he stayed late at work for meetings. When he went to gigs on his own and didn't bother to invite me. When he took up a new hobby but declined my offer of piano lessons. When he became distant and uninterested. When he made love to me and it felt like he was fucking someone else. When he forgot to share parts of his trip with me, but so readily shared them with his friend. When he ran 10k for her. When he became obsessed with Canada. When he stopped appreciating me or our friends. When he had to take a call in New York from an old boss that needed Apple IT help on my birthday trip. When he became a stranger. When he stopped making an effort. When he got up early to run and cycle rather than be in bed with me. When he looks, acts and talks like a robot. And loses his fucking mind. When he says he doesn't want kids, never has, despite saying the opposite in his wedding speech to 160 of your closest friends and family. When his apology feels empty and devoid of any true feeling. when you're better off without him, when you want more than they're willing to give. When he starts digging up old band videos of him to share with his friends and reliving his youth. To share with who? When you realise you'll never be anybody's second best. Then I drew a little picture. It's like, is there such a thing as happily ever after? And it's me on the wall in my little wedding dress and him. And I did a poem. As your love grows, you grow, apart, together, or stronger. Only time will tell. As one or two, no colour or hue will give hint or clue as to whether this one is the one for either of you. Have faith, dear heart. Nothing is certain or final. Paper is paper, hope is hope, and love will always be love. And as I was in there, I was thinking about all the things that people had told me over the past, year or so. And I remember one of my friends saying to me, one day, someone will fall in love with you and never want to let you go. Little did I know that was 8 months ago. And it would become a long-lasting friendship. It means a lot when you can be happy for somebody else's happiness. That's friendship, no bullshit. Day 3 in solitary. Realise that I've taken up a few new hobbies to pass the time. Perfecting the art of napping and counting how many cups of fluids I'm consuming with little tally marks. This inadvertently also makes weeing a new hobby too. I've never been so bloody hydrated. I'm just worried that I might flood the toilet at this rate. Not such a good idea. Today has been mainly a PJ day, pyjama day. And why the hell not? It is Sunday, I think. I've made myself a really watery bowl of porridge, in brackets gruel, and drank all the tea and coffee and biscuits I could. Another way of passing the time, eat it. Then decided to do some writing. Touched a little on the X, but not too much. Wrote a social media strategy for a friend's salon, or the beginning of one anyway. Painted myself a view, an ocean view too. Ate tuna chili pasta for lunch again, grim. Did my cardio, sweaty. Had a wash in a storage box. I felt like a borrower. Becoming very thrifty with found materials. Maybe I'll write a 101 uses for lining paper book. My shoulder muscles are aching a bit today. Not doing weights tonight, rest day. I'll eat apple turnover instead. Happy birthday, Grandad. Had a nap, tried to time it using the GoPro camera. Think it was at least an hour. Win, no idea how long it was for. Had chickpea curry for dinner tonight. They bloody love a good curry, these ration pack companies. Other flavours I wish I had. Steak bake, Greg's. Cottage pie, Spanish stew, apple and rhubarb crumble and custard, chocolate sponge and custard, Thai green curry, tomato soup, miso soup, lasagna. Things that cannot be put in a ration pack. Jacket potatoes, beans and cheese, omelettes, probably not egg white omelettes, dumplings and dim sum, sushi, big fat beef burgers, pepperoni pizzas, scones with jam and cream, pavlovas, millionaire shortbread, chorizo with honey and red wine, peshwari naans, lamb tagine, profiteroles or meat and potato pies. Day 4 in solitary. Woke up and did my cardio, washed, dressed and ate breakfast, cleaned up breakfast things and decided to get painting. Not a landscape this time. This one had to be about expressing myself and my emotions. A little Mondrian meets Picasso. Dark blues, greys and blacks for loss, uncertainty, grief and sorrow. Pink for femininity, red for passion, yellow for feeling alive and coming. And I think it's yellow for feeling alive and I think it's having hope. Orange for me, and finding myself amidst newness. Green. White for the unknown, still to be designed, a life to be lived. Perfectly imperfect. So, doing the experience, what did I learn? Things I've realised. I'm happy with who I am. I'm much stronger than I ever knew, mentally and physically. Robust, as Candace, my old boss, would say. I can't help being kind, it's in my nature, and my nan would be proud to know it. My happiness comes from within, but I do love people, technology, life, new experiences, feeling something. I love travelling and photography, documenting the people and the places I meet and explore. The people I've met these last 12 months have shaped me beyond recognition. I'm more passionate than I knew, more confident with my body, more confident and more able to ask for what I want. I take risks to feel how I want to feel, how I desire to feel. Kindness is my battle scar, but I'll wear it with fucking pride. How easy it is to switch off a relationship like a light. So easy for some. I always thought we were equal. When did the scales tip? It wasn't about me, it was him. He was never truly happy with who he was. And if I wish for one thing for him, is that he finds that happiness and never fucks someone over ever again. To live with purpose, with meaning, with passion, and to understand that that is what is intrinsic to our happiness. To believe in who we are and what we stand for. To believe we are capable of anything and worth fighting for. To believe in your dreams and know that if you work hard enough, you'll achieve them. I fought hard to be where I am, who I am. I have no monetary wealth, not yet, but I'm seizing the opportunities. And I'm putting the building blocks of my new life, of my new future in place. Do believe. Do as you would be done by. There is nothing more amazing than knowing that someone believes in you. And if you believe in someone, tell them. It goes a bloody long way. Okay, a few other questions. Madeline, did you have your own clothes? Right, okay, so I went in there. I was told I could take underwear, I could take bra or bras, but they would be providing the clothes. So we arrived at this ex-B&Q warehouse in Belfast. We all arrived separately, and when we got there it was like going through customs, so we had to kind of relinquish all our personal belongings. They were all locked away, put in evidence bags, and then George Lamb took me to my little pod, opened the door, showed me in, and on the bed there was another evidence bag, and I was instructed to change my clothes to the sweatshirt, t-shirt, sweatpants, plimsolls and socks that were on the bed, and then hand my clothes back. So that was weird. Like, immediately you're kind of being institutionalized and having your identity taken away. So that was it was quite a surreal experience. Madeline also asked, did we take our own food? No, I didn't take any food with me. We were told that we'd be provided with ration packs. So think like space food, or the food you'd have if you're going camping on a big trip. But the funny thing was, we were given 5 days worth of food all at once. So there was no way of knowing when a day had passed, when it was breakfast, when it was lunch, when it was dinner. You just had to eat when you were hungry. So it was it was quite funny, really. So in order to entertain myself, because I quite like food, I decided as a little exercise at the very beginning was to lay out all the food options, all the ration packs on my bed, and then rearrange them so that I knew what I wanted to eat on particular days, and then I wrote on each of the bags like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, so that I knew I'd eaten enough food for that day. So the food itself, gosh, there was a lot of chickpea curry. There was, I think there was one, maybe chilli. There was a tuna chili pasta thing, which was gross. There was a potato and leek soup, some really horrible like space bread, jammy dodgers. There was some other kind of biscuits as well. We had 1 cup of tea and 1 cup of coffee a day. 1 cup of tea, 1 cup of coffee a day, an electrolyte drink, a cup, I think there might have been some hot chocolate, okay, a sachet of hot chocolate a day, yeah, gruel, porridge, I can't remember, but I just remember being really sick of chickpea curry. So we got no, I think they probably asked if we had any dietary requirements, any allergies or whatever, but we didn't know beforehand what kind of meals we were going to eat. They were just provided to us. So I did 5 days, 5 nights in solitary confinement, and I really think I could have lasted a bit longer. I was obviously bored and I was beginning to nap a lot, but I realised that actually I quite like my own company, and it's not something that, I don't know, I wasn't tearing my hair out, you know, desperate to get out into the real world. I was obviously curious to see what had happened without me being involved in any of the daily ongoings or, you know, family business. But yeah, I distinctly remember getting out of solitary confinement and kind of George opening the door, and I had this very strange sensation that I knew almost 20 minutes beforehand that I was going to be let out, because I think I'd ticked off everything on my tally chart to say, all right, you've eaten breakfast, lunch and dinner on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and I knew that I'd eaten enough food, that was my timer, to pass enough days, I think. And yeah, I remember coming out, and we'd gone into these containers about 5:30 at night. I think it was 4:30, 5:30 at night. It's winter, so it's dark. So you've gone in when it's dark, there's no daylight. And we came out, and again, we're in this massive warehouse. There's just kind of like massive, there's just spotlights and things up. No daylight again. And so it kind of blows your mind a bit, because you've been used to the same 4 walls for that period of time, and then you look and you can, you know, your eyes take a bit of time to actually adjust to what's in the distance. And I remember finishing the experiment, and it must have been like maybe a week or so later I went on a business trip, and it was really stressful, and I just remember thinking I'd rather have spent another week in solitary confinement than be on this trip. And that's what made me, it was kind of a bit of an epiphany, like nothing in life is worth it if it makes you unhappy. If it makes you that unhappy, it's not worth it. My happiness is more important than anything. So Lauren by the Sea, Lauren sent me a really beautiful message, sort of just talking about her own situation and what she'd got out of watching the show. So she's asked, would be interested to know what some of your thought processes were. Would be interested to know what some of your thought processes were while in there. What did you find yourself thinking about most? What was the lowest point? What did you learn about yourself? Was it what you expected? Did you experience anything you didn't expect to? Did you think it helped you heal, or had you already done a lot of the work prior? Again, thanks for being so honest. Thought you were awesome and so pleased I happened to come across the show. Thank you, Lauren. I think I was at a point where I was being quite reflective of everything that had happened, and I obviously found myself thinking a bit about that. But then I think I was spent a bit of time thinking about some of the relationships that I'd had post breakup, and I think a lot of those thoughts kind of occupied my mind, because they're probably relationships that weren't good for me, but I'd still invested a lot of time in them anyway. Lowest point, the lowest point I think was physically being really cold and really tired, and not being able to get the radiator to work in the room. And I just remember lying on the floor covered in a blanket, because I think I'd finally managed to switch the radiator on, and I was just kind of trying to get warm. What else? What did I learn about myself? That what have I learned about myself? That I'm stronger than I think, that I enjoy my own company, that I am very resilient, and yeah, quite productive, I think. That I never felt lonely. I was alone, yeah, but I knew that I've got amazing friends and family outside that love me to bits, and yeah, I'm very, very lucky. I think it was more than I could have possibly expected. It really gave me an opportunity to just press pause on my life, and just really think, what is it that I want? And yeah, it wasn't as harsh, I don't think, as I expected it to be. I thought it would be a bit more like a prison situation. Well, initially I think I thought I was going to be put on a remote island in Scotland or whatever, but then I thought, okay, what if it's like the flip side, and it's a tiny room, and it's going to be, padded walls and that kind of stuff. But yeah, nothing like that. It was actually quite comfortable. I think it helped me heal a hell of a lot. And I wonder now, if I hadn't have had that experience, whether, it's 2 years down the line now since the breakup, and if I hadn't have had that moment to reflect, that time, 12 months in, God knows where I'd be right now. I don't know. But it's kind of, I think it's been very, very important for me. My friend Lucie has asked a few questions, the Salmon 86. Did they give you a list of what you could and couldn't take in? Is there anything you wish you'd taken in? Oh, I tell you what I really wish I'd taken in. A candle, like a scented candle, or some kind of lamp, because I hated the strip lights that were up. I think it's like sleeping in an office with the light on, and that was the only indicator for my body that it was day or night, was me deciding it was day or night. So yeah, just something that would make it a bit cozier, I think, is what I would have liked. How long could you have stayed in there? I reckon I probably could have done maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. Did you ever get paranoid that it was a hoax and they wouldn't let you out? No, I didn't get paranoid, but there was one night, right, which obviously wasn't edited into the show, where I think it was night 2 or night 3. And I remember lying there in bed, thinking it was nighttime, and a fire alarm went off. And as we'd gone into this warehouse in Belfast, I remember joking to one of the other contributors that there was a caravan, and it looked like the caravan out of Snatch, the one that goes up in flames. And I remember going, oh my God, like, oh, that's what that reminds me of. And when this fire alarm went off in the middle of the night, I was like, oh my God, like freaking out, thinking, oh my God, this is it. I'm a goner. And then somebody did knock on the door and open it a little bit. They didn't look at us, they didn't do anything to kind of really interact. They just said, don't worry, the fire alarm's gone off and we're testing it. We'll let you know if everything's okay. And then they disappeared. And then a while later they came back and they said it was I don't know, not an accident, but it was it wasn't a fire. They checked everything out, so we were safe. And then it continued. But I remember thinking, did that actually happen, or did I just dream it? I had no idea. It was so weird. Did I fancy George Lamb? Who doesn't fancy George Lamb? I think even male friends of mine fancy George Lamb. Straight male friends as well. Would I do it again? I think I don't know if I don't think I'd do it again because I've already done it, but I'd love to experience other challenges that are similar to this, or similarly testing. Because I just think, if I can do that, what else can I do? I think I'd like to do more kind of retreat type stuff though, where I really switch off. I think that would be good for me. Okay, what other questions? Lola and Behold says, would be interested to know how your body clock coped. Well, how was your concept of time altered? Were you aware it was morning and when it was night? Did you have any idea of how long you were sleeping for? And when you got out, were you able to get back into a normal sleeping pattern, or did you struggle? The first night when we got in there, because obviously it was like 4:30 or something by when I was put into the box. So I spent a few hours I'm sleepy thinking about it. Spent a few hours pottering around, had some food, did some exercise, and then I think on the show it shows me going to bed, and it must be like 8:30, 8:45 or something at night, so it's quite early. And I don't know, I think I just listened to my body and thought, okay, I feel a bit tired now, let's have a lie down or a nap. And I think actually my body clock must be pretty alright, because I didn't have any daylight to wake me up. I think occasionally I'd be like, can I hear seagulls, or can I hear traffic? Does that mean it's day? Does that mean it's night? Like, do seagulls even make noise at night? No idea. Which is strange. No idea how long I slept for. I think the edit for the TV show was so tight that they weren't able to show all of that. When I got out, it was like, I remember going to the hotel in Belfast and looking in the mirror and thinking, wow, I've lost a lot of weight. I think because the ration packs are obviously lower in calories than I'd been eating before, and I was exercising quite a lot, so I just looked like really and I think I slept all right actually. I don't remember struggling too much with sleep, but yeah, it was quite strange to have to adjust back into everyday life. Ziad Miad, when you were in there, did you think of your broken past relationship? If so, how did it make you feel? So as I mentioned before, I did a lot of journaling and writing about my emotions and kind of the thought processes that were going on in my head. And I thought a lot about what had happened. And writing, I think, was a very cathartic way of me allowing that healing process to work. Okay, Jamie says, found the show interesting and impressed at how well you coped, especially compared to the others. Thanks, Jamie. The creativity and being able to get lost in your thoughts obviously helped you. Were there points where you had any really negative thoughts or felt like you were not yourself? Do you know what? I actually think I didn't really have any really low moments. There's one moment where I got a bit emotional, thinking about my mum and about the amount of time that I spend splitting myself in half, trying to do all these different things and trying to multitask and not really being present and speaking to my mum. So that was like a low moment, but it wasn't. I didn't really. There was never any awful negative thoughts. I think I was quite lucky because I'm quite a positive person, and yeah, I remember afterwards when we did the follow-up interview, the director Jeff said to me, "Oh, so was it part of your strategy not to interact with the cameras because you were the only person who didn't actually speak directly into the cameras?" And I was like, "No, it's just not something that I would have done." She says, here talking to a camera. But yeah, it's weird. And when the psychologist said, "Oh, Lucie's an introvert," I was like, I am an introvert, and I never knew. Okay, what else? James also said, after doing this experiment, what are your thoughts on solitary confinement in prisons, where some prisoners can spend weeks or months with 23-hour solitary lockup? If you think about the situation I was in, I chose to be in solitary confinement. It wasn't something that was forced upon me. I consented. I think, having watched Confessions of a Murderer for the first time this week, and there was a young lad in there who spent, gosh, it must be over 10 years in solitary confinement, and you can see the mental implications and the impact that it's had on his life and his personality, and the psychological effects are damaging. So my thoughts on solitary confinement in prisons are, it's a pretty extreme form of punishment. Again, somebody, against their will, they're placed into solitary, and it's never going to be a pleasant experience, and it's never going to be of benefit to them in any way, shape or form. It's punishment, and I just think it's almost cruel and animalistic in some respects, and maybe a little bit outdated too. So Gabriella says, it was super inspiring to see you get on and knuckle through. I'm forever interested in how people use creativity as a tool to get through difficult times, and would love to know if you knew art and creating would be such an important facet to your well-being before you went in, or if the situation blossomed your creativity more. It was super inspiring to see you get on and knuckle through. I'm forever interested in how people use creativity as a tool to get through difficult times, and would love to know if you knew art and creating would be such an important facet to your well-being before you went in, or if the situation blossomed your creativity more. I think I knew that art was something that would help me massively, but it did. When you strip away all the distractions of modern life and you are armed with those few pencils and paints, if you're a creative person, it is incredible what your mind can do and what you can achieve with very limited resources. And that's what it is. It boosted my productivity and my resourcefulness and creativity, I think. I loved it. I thought it was really good to just strip everything away. Yeah, and definitely it was a massive part of the healing process too.